Hello and welcome back to Mario Kart 64, where last time we played through the Mushroom Cup on 50cc, and today we're going to be playing through the Flower Cup on 50cc, and we're going to be using Luigi. And so without further ado, let's get things started. We're going to be racing in Toad's Turnpike, Frappe, Snowland, Choco Mountain, and Mario Raceway. Let's get this show on the road. I'm sure I mispronounced that second one, but you know what, we're going to roll with it. So, this is the first one that I've actually played before, because this was remastered I really do not like how, oh dear god, I really do not like how because like getting the turbo start is basically pointless unless you're at the front of the pack, because you're just gonna ram into everyone in front of you anyway, so it's no real point. But, excuse me, this is the one I've actually played, because this was remastered for Mario Kart 8, and of course Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So, that was a fake item box. So I have, thanks for the update there. Can that notification go away at the bottom of the screen, please? You want to fade away there, partner? You want to go? Do I have to push the button to make it go away? Is it not going to disappear on its own? Is it just going to stay there like a prick? You're not going to go away, are you? I have to push the button, don't I? I have to. Wow, I literally had to push the button. Piss off. I had to push the button to make that stupid menu go away. Have I mentioned how great the emulation is for Nintendo Switch Online? Have I mentioned how great this is? I must admit, the emulation on Nintendo Switch Online is just the optimal way to experience these classic games. It's just so great. Also, when I crossed, in case you wonder why I hit that bus there, it's because I forgot the most critical rule of this game. Rule number 1, never ever drift. I forgot that rule, and I paid the price for it miserably. So yeah, something tells me we're not going to place first here. I think although we are only in the first lap. Well, of course now we're in a second lap, but you know what I mean. Okay, well, we're making some progress, so definitely, initial impressions is that it definitely plays better on Mario Kart 8, but I mean, I guess it's not really fair to compare, because obviously Mario Kart 8's controls are going to be significantly more refined than this. But even just the general design of the course, well, I mean, I guess even then, because obviously, better, as time passes, technology gets better, so it's going to look better, so I guess I can't really compare it to you. Point being, it looks better and it plays better on Mario Kart 8. I'm not super thrilled with what I've seen here so far, but it is still Toad's Turnpike, just it's the inferior version of it. Anyway, let's talk about some topics, shall we? So, yesterday, we finished up a topic from Super Mario Kart, which is just me talking about some of my favorite movies of all time. So, today we're going to talk about a similar topic, which is movies that are poorly written that I still enjoy. And as a disclaimer, there are not that many of these, because for the most part, if a movie's poorly written, I just don't care. Like, writing is incredibly important. It's the backbone of your story. If you don't have a functional script, you have nothing. You do not have because a lot of people will say, okay, sure, it has some story issues, but you got to think about the themes, or look at the lighting and the way that this shot is composed, or things like that. But the problem is that all those things are used to facilitate the story. So actors are telling a story through their movements and their performances. Also, dodging these cars with this slightly slippery controls of my butter greased wheels is less than ideal. But those are all things that are used to facilitate the story, and if you do not have a solid backbone of a script, then you're not going to get anywhere. So, for the most part, if a story is not well written, that's going to be enough to seal the deal for me and make me not enjoy it. But there are rare exceptions, very rare exceptions, usually when something is so over the top that I just can't help but laugh at it. For instance, not a movie, but a TV show called Manifest. If you have not seen it, it is on Netflix right now, because it was canceled after season 3 because the people at NBC are idiots. And so then, because it was scheduled originally, or it was planned originally as a 6-season story, as in it would tell one cohesive overarching story over the course of 6 seasons, which is a little ambitious for a TV show, because obviously you don't even know if it's going to make it past season 1, and if it doesn't do well, then you leave a lot of stuff unanswered, because it won't get picked up for season 2, so it's a bit of an ambitious goal to do that. But they stuck to it, and now they're in the situation of, well, it was canceled, so what do we do now to finish the story? And Netflix realized, because it was, the second they put it on Netflix, it was top of the charts, as in top 3 in the country, maybe the world, I'm not sure, for a long time. So Netflix clearly acknowledged or clearly realized that it would have been stupid for them not to take up the opportunity to gain some additional money by obviously greenlighting a 4th season exclusively on Netflix. So, yeah, the point being, it was saved for season 4, and this is going to be the final season. I'm extremely excited for it. Not because I think the show is good. Okay, snowmen are evil. Good to know. Snowmen are the big bad. Thanks for the update there. And it's definitely not because I think the show is good, as I said. It's because it's so laughably idiotic. Like, so basically the premise is that people get on a plane to fly home from somewhere. For some reason I can't remember where. Is it Jamaica? I don't know. They're flying home from somewhere. But then they hit some turbulence along the way. But that turbulence, to them, it's just turbulence. Like, they hit a bumpy ride in the middle of the flight, and then a second later it's over, and then they're back on schedule, ready to go home. But when they land, everyone is surprised to see them, because as far as the world was concerned, that plane never hit the ground. That plane never landed in New York City. It was considered, everyone on board the plane was considered dead for 5 years. So for 5 years, that plane never hit the ground, and they were considered dead. But then magically here, they're all back. Flight 828 is back for some reason. Then there's the stories about trying to figure out what happened to the plane, and then some of the situations that the characters who were on the plane get themselves involved in. And it's I don't want to give away too much else, because I do think that you should watch the show just because it's so stupid. It's so much fun to watch. And so yeah, I mean, season 1 was really genuinely very good, and then season 2 happened and it just fell off the rails, and now by season 3 it's just it's so completely off the rails, batshit crazy. I can't even begin to express how bonkers it is, and it's so much fun to watch. So, and the reason why is because the consistency of the sort of sci-fi supernatural rules that are involved in what the mysteries of the show are so screwed. There's no consistency to it whatsoever. They change the rules basically every episode in terms of how this stuff works. So sometimes things work out for the characters, sometimes they don't, and there's no consistency as to whether or not they actually go well. And it's just, I mean, if you don't enjoy it, I completely understand, because it makes no goddamn sense. But I love watching it just because it makes so little sense. It's so off the walls and insane that I just can't help but laugh at it. And honestly, that was the show, because the season 3 was getting ready to wrap up around the time that I was making my Danganronpa 3 series. So basically, after a long day's worth of editing, I would get to relax with watching Manifest. So it's like a day's worth of pain of editing this series about this terrible show, and then I go sit down to watch a different terrible show that I actually enjoy. So that's a prime example of not a movie, but a story that is poorly written that I enjoy. Now, of course, there are some times where I enjoy a movie, not because it's so insane. Like, for instance, Jingle All the Way is a movie, and really the most insane part is that final climax, where obviously you have the Turbo Man suit and just jetpacks flying around, with jetpacks that do not obey the laws of physics, where it gets really outrageous. So, and that's another thing where I guess I'm just swept up in the action of it, because the consistency of the science behind how that works don't make any sense. And if you ask me, do you think it's good, I'd be like, no, this of course is nonsense, this makes no sense. But I do have a lot of fun watching it, so that's another example. I guess just Jingle All the Way, maybe it's because I have a lot of nostalgia of watching the movie as a kid. Just, it was one of those, Home Alone and Jingle All the Way were some of the holiday movies that I watched a lot as a kid, so that might be a part of it. I do think it does have some good character stuff. It's just, I think it gets drowned out by the acting, because obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger in family movies isn't something people are used to. And of course the kid, whose name I genuinely don't remember. I mean, I know the character's name, but the kid who played him, I can't remember him. It's the kid who played Anakin Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, young Anakin in Phantom Menace. I don't know his name, but it was him, and obviously you know his acting, so I can see that being a turnoff for some people to the movie. But I just love watching the antics that Myron and Howard get themselves up to along the adventure. It's just a blast to watch. But the big one that I really can't quite figure out as to why I actually enjoyed is A Quiet Place. Because A Quiet Place is broken in terms of its logical consistency. The consistency of the monsters and how the sound works and all that, like how their echolocation works in conjunction with the way in which the family chooses to survive. and the obvious better choices they could be making to stay alive that they just don't. With the most blatant one being at the beginning of the movie, the fact that the sister gives the kid the batteries for the spaceship. I'm just like, come on, there's no way, no way in the world you would, like, you understand why that's a bad idea. You understand why that would be a horrible, terrible, no good, very bad idea. I don't know why you would ever do that. But I think it's just because the tension is so expertly crafted, and there is some, the way it's able to tell so much, it's able to tell a lot of really good world-building story details without barely any dialogue. I think there's only one scene in the movie where characters actually talk to each other verbally. So they're able to communicate a lot of information without even saying anything, which I think is really impressive. And of course, like I said, the tension, like there's moments, a lot of the time when you go to the theaters, it's just a horrible experience because you just hear people munching on popcorn and talking the whole time. But when I saw A Quiet Place in theaters, nothing. No one dared to make a sound in that theater because everyone was on the edge of the seats and just our breath was caught. We didn't want to make even a single sound because of how pulled in we were and how on the edge of the seat and how tense we were for the whole movie. So I think it nails the tension. The problem is that when you think about it for even a second, the script just falls apart at the seams. So I can't really put my finger on what it is about the movie that I think I enjoy. Because again, ordinarily, if I saw a movie that made no sense, I'd be like, well, this is just horrible. But I guess it's just because the tension is so incredibly crafted that it just pulls me into it. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. I really can't explain it. I wish I could. I like to be able to explain things, but I can't do that this time. I enjoy A Quiet Place. I don't really know why, because it makes no sense, but you know what? I do. Now, what I don't enjoy is A Quiet Place 2. I hate A Quiet Place 2. A Quiet Place 2 doesn't, it has all the failings of the first movie and none of its successes, because it has all the same broken rules in terms of its logical consistency and none of the expertly crafted tension, nor does it have any of the character moments or subtle world building. Like the best part of the movie is the opening 10 minutes where it's because basically the opening 10 minutes is a prologue or I guess a prequel is a better term for it, showing how the aliens came to Earth and like what day one of the outbreak looked like. So that was a really cool, tense, expertly crafted scene with some problems, of course. But that was a perfect tone setter for the movie and easily the best part of the film. And then the rest of the movie happened, and you realize, because the big problem with A Quiet Place 2 is that, spoilers, first movie ends with them realizing that the way they can fight the monsters is that because their only sense is sound, it's also because they have such strong ears, it's also their biggest weakness because of how sensitive their hearing is. So if you crank up the daughter's hearing aid and blast it through a loudspeaker, that will cause them to shrivel up for a little bit because of how much it affects them, and that will cause their armor to break off and expose their flesh, which makes them vulnerable to a shotgun because previously their armor and their exterior padding is so thick that nothing can penetrate it until they're taken aback by the loud noises, and then that's what causes it to break. Problem is that once you have that get out of jail free card and you have that weakness for the monsters, all the tension is gone because there's no suspense anymore, unless you have your characters act like idiots in the movie, to where you have them remove the shotgun and have the family split up for no goddamn reason, so everyone goes on their own little stupid side quest for no reason. Yeah, I hate it. Quiet Place 2 sucks. Anyway, I hope that was a satisfactory answer, because there really is not a whole lot of movies that I enjoy that are poorly written for the most part, but I think those are the ones that I nailed pretty well. I mean, I guess, because when I think poorly written, I think really just fundamentally broken scripts. Because Night at the Museum is that's a trilogy of films that doesn't have great writing. It's not a perfect trilogy. It's not masterful by any means, but it's not horrible. So I wouldn't consider, because I love the Night Museum movies, and I really like the through line of Larry's arc and the story of all the museum exhibits and their storylines from start to finish. And the way it all rounds out in the final movie just kind of brings a tear to my eye every time. It's really satisfying to see that come to fruition. But So yeah, but I wouldn't list that as an example of a movie that I enjoy that's poorly written, is because it's not horrible. It's just acceptable. It's a perfectly fine movie. I think the third is probably the best of the three. Side tangent. Point being that those are the movies. Jingle All the Way manifests as the TV show, and Quiet Place are the ones I can think of that are just horribly written, that I really enjoy watching a lot. So those are the ones that immediately come to my mind, and it's not a whole lot of movies, but hopefully it's satisfactory for the question that you proposed. Anyway, that'll be it for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time. I'll catch you all tomorrow for some more Mario Kart 64. Goodbye.